we have arrived at Reynolds momentum equation or Reynolds mean momentum equation by performing Reynolds decomposition and averaging for each individual terms in the momentum equation, and we arrived at the solution which had a new term. We called it Reynolds stress. So we need to see what are the properties of this Reynolds stress such that it will be useful for understanding what this Reynolds stress is, where you can apply, and if it is showing a particular value in a particular point in a fluid flow or in a field, we will be able to identify how it behaves or how it influences the fluid parcels or fluid elements. The Reynolds mean momentum equation is written like dou ui by dou t plus uj dou ui by dou xj equals dou by dou xj minus p by rho delta ij plus 2 nu sij minus ui uj, the fluctuating quantities. Now, the first property of Reynolds stress is the interpretation of this Reynolds stresses as stresses. So why we do this interpretation? Because we have these terms on the right hand side. These three terms are clubbed together, and this is of same dimensions or similar dimensions, and it should be conveying the same meaning. So we can deduce that these three terms are stresses, which is evident from the first term. It is the pressure based isotropic stresses. The second one, it is the viscous stresses, and third one, it also should be a stress. That's how we are arriving at the interpretation of this term ui dash uj dash, that is the fluctuating velocity components which arised out of the Reynolds decomposition and averaging of momentum equation as a stress. Now, this first term on the right side, that is the pressure term delta ij, this is the isotropic stress. We can also see that this is a normal stress. If we choose a point, all the arrows will be pointing inwards towards the center. So this is the isotropic stress that we are dealing with. Then the second term, we have the nu sij part. This would be the viscous stress. So this viscous stress, usually it happens in the form of shear. Then we have this ui uj, this fluctuating component, that stress which is the resultant of deriving Reynolds mean momentum equation. We call it apparent stress, and it is conventional for us to call it as Reynolds stress. We performed Reynolds decomposition, Reynolds averaging. Because of that, we arrived at this apparent stress. We name it Reynolds stress. Now, we can try to understand what is the difference between these two stresses, that is the viscous stress and the apparent stress. So this viscous stress, it is because of the momentum transfer at molecular level. This Reynolds stress, it is due to the fluctuating velocity field. So the momentum transfer, if it happens by the fluctuating velocity field, which means the u dash, v dash, w dash, if these are transferring momentum, we call it Reynolds stresses. If the momentum transfer is happening at molecular level, that is by a random molecular motion, we call it viscous stresses. These stresses most of the time are resistive to the fluid flow, most of the time, that we need to note. So this viscous stresses can dissipate and it can produce heat. That also we should note. Considering this momentum equation again, we can find what are the terms available in this momentum equation. So we have this mean velocity ui. If you substitute I equals 1, 2, 3, you will get velocity components of u, v, w. Then you have the pressure component, the average pressure. Then this Sij will have again the same velocity components, and you have new component ui dash, uj dash. Now, usually if you see how to solve this momentum equation, how many equations are there in the momentum equation, if you see, you will find by substituting I equals 1, 2, 3, you will get 3 momentum equations. We have continuity equation, so that will be one equation. Now, how many unknowns are there? If you see velocity 1, 2, 3, pressure will be the fourth one. So 4 unknowns and 4 equations in the previous level before doing this Reynolds decomposition and Reynolds averaging, it is solvable. But once you do this Reynolds decomposition and Reynolds averaging, you get the new unknown. So it will be the 5th term. So still you have only these 3 averaged momentum equations and 1 averaged continuity equation. So 4 equations, 5 unknowns. We will not be able to solve the problem. That's where we call it closure problem. Exactly to say closure problem of turbulence. This is the reason. We have an extra new term that is not allowing us to solve the set of equations. So this is the second property of this Reynolds stress tensor or Reynolds stress. So you need to find a way to solve this such that you will be able to solve the set of governing equations to arrive at the solutions, to understand the flow field physics. Also, we know that this Reynolds stress, the new term, or we call it apparent stress, it is a second order tensor. So there is Reynolds stresses are components of a second order tensor, that we should know, and usually we call it ui, uj. This is equal to uj, ui. That also you should note. In this tensor, the diagonal components are representing normal stresses, wherein you find u dash square, v dash square, w dash square. And off diagonal components represent shear stresses. So you have u dash, v dash, u dash, w dash, v dash, w dash. So these are all off diagonal components which are representing the shear stresses. Now, if you try to understand what are these individual components saying. So earlier as a bunch we have seen in the previous lecture. Now we will see how these individual components are telling you. This u dash, if you see, It is the fluctuating velocity in x direction. If you see this v dash, you will find that this is the fluctuating velocity component in y direction. Similarly, w dash is the fluctuating velocity component in z direction. So these three are in their normal directions, it is acting. If you see the other three components like u dash v dash or u dash w dash or v dash w dash, these are all cross terms or shear terms. What we can infer from this is, we will consider only this first term u dash v dash. So if we understand this, remaining terms will fall in place. Also we have learnt from the previous statement that it is symmetric tensor, so it gives the same meaning whether it is u dash v dash or v dash u dash. So both you know. Now if I say individually u dash, it is the fluctuating velocity component in x direction. If I say v dash, it is fluctuating velocity component in y direction. What is the correlation of this u dash v dash? If it is a single term, what does it tell us? So the initial part, that is the interpretation of stresses for the Reynolds stress, conveyed us that there is a momentum transfer that is happening by fluctuating velocity field. So if we consider this u dash square alone, the momentum gets transferred from u dash to u dash only, which means it is only that particular direction, the momentum is there. Similarly, v dash square, w dash square. But if you consider this u dash v dash, the momentum can be transferred from one direction to another direction, or from this to this. So the momentum transfer can be happening from u dash to v dash or v dash to u dash. To simply write, I can use this u dash to v dash. So it is like you can transfer momentum from one direction to another direction. So it can be from u dash to v dash or from v dash to u dash. Similarly, if you see u dash to w dash or w dash to u dash from the second component, from the third component v dash to w dash or w dash to v dash. So the momentum gets transferred from one direction to another direction by these off diagonal components or the shear stress components. So that's what we can try to understand from the Reynolds stress tensor, right? So where this is practically applicable, suppose you want to understand in a real field, let us consider a flow field and then we can try to understand how it is happening. Now let me consider a flow field which is produced by a nozzle. So wherein this nozzle is producing a jet flow. Initially it starts with uniform velocity profile, the nozzle exit, and then it produces vortices and it develops. You find that the jet originally comes out in axial direction, and if you see the boundary which I am drawing in this yellow, most probably it is expanding. Our direction which we consider is the x direction, where we are imparting momentum, which means u velocity is what we are giving, but the jet is spreading in lateral directions, which is about y. How the spread is happening? We have this Reynolds stress components in that u dash v dash. This is the component which causes this spread to happen. So the fluctuation in u dash, that energy is getting transferred to v dash. So this is what is creating the extra width or incremental width as you move down or move downstream. So you are supplying energy from nozzle in axial direction, but the jet is spreading in lateral direction. So this flow gives rise to instabilities and it produces turbulence. You find fluctuations along the x direction, and the fluctuations are transferred to y direction, that is to v dash, by the off diagonal components u dash, v dash. So this is a practical example that will tell you that Reynolds stresses are the prime reason for this. Physically, we have seen the mechanism, like these flows are getting entrained. That's where this spread or width increment is happening in jet. Physically, we are seeing that as a reason, that is the entrainment process. But how that entrainment process is happening? Because of these fluctuations. So you can relate the properties of Reynolds stresses in flow fields and deduce that how that flow field is generated, or what are the prominent features which is generated and what is the reason for that. So in this flow field, I can say that this process of entrainment, one way this Reynolds stress is the reason, that is the spread of the jet is caused by this Reynolds stress. So that's how I can say. The same Reynolds stress tensor, if you find trace of the given tensor, it gives us 2 times the turbulent kinetic energy. We can write it as half u dash square, or half of u dash u dash. That's how we can write it. What does this convey? This is mean kinetic energy per unit mass in the fluctuating velocity field. So this is the information we are getting from the trace of the Reynolds stress tensor. Now this Reynolds stress tensor, you can write an equation for that. You know what is general transport equation. If you consider the Reynolds stress tensor as a term, for that term you can write an equation. Similarly, if you write an equation, you will get an equation for Reynolds stress, and then you can take the trace of that Reynolds stress. You will get an equation for this turbulent kinetic energy too. That is possible from these. So what all we have seen after the closure problem, that is about the Reynolds stress tensor properties, this can be clubbed together as properties that is derived from the tensorial aspects. Before going to the fourth property, let me invoke the velocity gradient dou ui by dou xj, which is equal to 1 by 3 delta conical delta ij plus sij plus omega ij, wherein you know that delta ij is the isotropic part, that is the diagonal of a matrix which is 1 1 1, and sij, you know that we have written this, the average of dou ui by dou xj plus dou uj by dou xi. So this we have already seen. And then you have this omega ij, which is dou ui by dou xj minus dou uj by dou xi. So the meaning of this is Sij is symmetric deviatoric rate of strain tensor. This omega ij is antisymmetric rate of rotation tensor. So if you see this, the velocity gradient, it has multiple components. So you can find a symmetric rate of strain tensor and then antisymmetric rate of rotation tensor, which will tell you about the rotating components, right? Now we will try to see what kind of isotropic and anisotropic paths are available in the Reynolds stress tensor. So that will be the fourth part which we will be discussing in properties of Reynolds stress. Anisotropy. So from the Reynolds stress you can easily find that if the flow fields are isotropic, the components in Reynolds stress, how it will be. If you think you will get a solution, isotropic means in all directions it should be same. So I will write it inside. Isotropic, all the fluctuations in all the directions should be equal, such that u dash equals v dash equals w dash, which means only the diagonal components will be existing and that will be equal. Now coming to anisotropy, we have to find what is this anisotropy part. So we will first write isotropic stress, which we can get it from the turbulent kinetic energy itself, which has this u dash v dash w dash. So 2/3 turbulent kinetic energy delta Ij. This will be the isotropic stress part. Now to find the deviatoric anisotropic stress part, we can define that as A suffix ij, which will be ui uj, this is the Reynolds stress, minus 2/3 k delta ij. You subtract isotropic part from the Reynolds stress to get the anisotropic part, that will be the aij. Now this aij can be normalized. How you can normalize this? ui you can see that in terms of kinetic energy. So we will define a new tensor, that is normalized anisotropic tensor, that is bij, which is equal to aij divided by the property which you are going to use for non-dimensionalization, which is 2 times the turbulent kinetic energy, 2k. So we can write the equation in the form of ui uj divided by ul u suffix l minus 1/3 delta ij. So we have taken the previous equation wherein the Reynolds stress minus that isotropic part, and we divide it by 2k and we arrive at this solution. So how we can write this Reynolds stresses? ui uj equals 2/3 k delta ij plus aij, or 2k 1/3 delta ij plus bij. This is how we can write. Once you know that, you can easily say this aij is the only effective part in transporting momentum. The other parts might not contribute, right? So this anisotropy in the Reynolds stress, it is what? Transporting momentum. So in other way we have seen this u dash v dash w dash, if these are equal, there is an equilibrium, and if there is a cross component u dash v dash, The momentum can get transferred from u dash to v dash or v dash to u dash. So this is the anisotropic part, which is taking part in the transportation of momentum, which we have seen earlier also, that is from one direction to another direction. Having understood that, if we assume the flow is irrotational, here we need to understand that the turbulent flows are rotational. It has all the vorticity. We speak about vorticity fluctuations, three-dimensional vorticity fluctuations. But if we assume, if the flow is irrotational, so vorticity tends to 0 or vorticity is 0. So mean and fluctuating component of vorticities are not available. So what we can write is ui dash dou ui dash by dou xj minus dou uj dash by dou xi equals dou by dou xj of half ui dash square minus dou by dou xi of ui dash uj dash. This equals 0. From this we can arrive at dou k by dou xj equals dou by dou xi of ui dash uj dash. So this Reynolds stresses are related with the turbulent kinetic energy, and also you can see that there is no influence to the mean flow. That's what you can arrive at. Apart from these properties, we have some more properties. People who are interested, they can refer to Pope or other books to find what are the other properties, and it might be quite complicated. At BTech level, I think this is enough for now. Now let us reconsider the Reynolds stress again. So ui dash uj dash, which is equal to u dash square v dash square w dash square u dash v dash u dash w dash v dash w dash. So you have a tensor, and you know that this is a complete tensor which has isotropic part and anisotropic part. Suppose you say that I don't want to have this anisotropic part. What happens is this u dash v dash equals to u dash w dash equals to v dash w dash equals to 0. Then what you will have, the remaining tensor will become u dash square v dash square w dash square. This is a symmetric tensor. So since you do not have the transfer of momentum from one direction to another direction, you can easily say that only these diagonal components exist. Now, if this u dash square equals v dash square equals w dash square, you can easily find that this will be isotropic. So previously we discussed about homogeneous isotropic flows, homogeneous anisotropic flows. There we didn't discuss about Reynolds stresses. But now if you invoke this Reynolds stress concepts into those like isotropic or anisotropic flows, you can easily understand the fluctuations in all the three directions. At a point, if it is same, that is u dash square equals v dash square equals w dash square, it is isotropic. If it is different, and you have chances of transferring energy from one direction to another direction, wherein most of the flows around you will be anisotropic in nature. Suppose if you are trying to apply any turbulence model to a particular flow, you need to find whether the flow is isotropic or anisotropic. And if you derive the equation by taking an assumption that the flow is isotropic and you try to simulate an anisotropic flow, you might not end up with right solution. So while considering a particular model, you need to find what are the assumptions that you have taken, whether this is suitable for that or not.